Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healy. Today we're going to be taking a look at this little fella right here, HexaQuest. This has the moniker of being the strategic trivia game. Tumbling Heads gave this to me as a review copy at Origins Game Fair in Columbus. So let's get down to the table, I'll show you how it works, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts in just a few moments. Let's hit it! So HexaQuest is a trivia game. The core box comes with no less than 6 different categories in the core box, and then you're also going to be getting all of these hexagonal plastic or kind of bakelite-y type tiles that come in the box, and on one side it has a color and a depiction of the category that it represents. Then on the other side is a number from 1 to 5 that represents the difficulty of the question that you're going to be asked from that category. So, if, for example, this is our historian category and it's a 2. So what we would do is the person to the left of you would take a card and read the number 2 question, and then the answer is down here. The person that has chosen this hex has to answer that question correctly in order to take this tile, and now that's worth 2 points at the end of the game for you. First of all, you have the Wise Man, which is the purple category, and it says you better know it all because the Wise Man does. Anything goes. So this is kind of like a catch-all category. The Gourmet is what it would probably sound like. Fine dining, oui monsieur. Fine dining and food for thought. Movie Buff. Lights, camera, action, explore the amazing world of film. Tree Hugger, our favorite hippie, enjoys animals and nature. So the Historian, our bookworm friend, loves the old days, all about history. And then finally, Backpacking, a world to explore. No place is too big or small. Geography. And so those are the different categories that you have available to you. So let's get on to the rest of the game. So generally speaking, on your turn, all you're going to be doing is choosing one of these hexes that is freely removable. In other words, if you can take it and slide it out, you can choose it. But if you have one of them on the inside here that can't freely slide out, then it's locked and you can't choose that question yet. There are some tiles that have a question mark on it, which means that the person who chooses that tile is going to be able to choose which category they're going to receive a question from. But on the other side of that tile, they have the difficulty, and then it's ×2. So you can choose these and choose the category, and then you'll possibly be able to score double points for those tiles. Otherwise, on your turn, you're simply going to choose the category from which the question is going to come, and then you'll find out what the difficulty is going to be. Or you can choose the difficulty of the question that is going to be asked, and you'll have to find out what category it comes from. During your turn, as I alluded to earlier, if you answer the question correctly, you get to keep that tile, and that tile is worth that many points for you at the end of the game. You can, at that point, choose to pass the turn and let somebody else go, or you can let it ride, as the rule book says, and you can answer a maximum of up to 3 questions per turn, and you'll get to keep the points for all of the tiles that you answer correctly. However, if you answer incorrectly on any of those 3, you'll surrender all of the tiles that you've answered correctly that turn, and you won't get anything. So there is a little bit of a push your luck mechanism that goes along with it. Once all of the tiles are gone, you add up how many points each person has, and the person with the most points is the winner. So if you're anything like me, or if you've had similar experiences that I've had with trivia games, you've been on somewhere within a spectrum on which one side is, please shoot me, I want to stop playing, or you are, wow, this is awkward and annoying because I'm the only person that knows anything about the categories that are being spoken about in this trivia game. You've been somewhere on that spectrum, and it probably hasn't been a very enjoyable experience unless you just enjoy trivia in a general or a very specific sense. Trivia games usually have the moniker of you have to answer well, first of all, you have to roll a die and move to a spot, and then that spot generates what kind of question you're going to have to answer. And then you're going to have to basically just know what the answer is, or you're out of luck. And there's just so much random factor to the game that it just drags on and on and on and on and on. I can say that HexaQuest isn't like that at all, really. They call it a strategic trivia game, and I see what they're doing there. I wouldn't necessarily call it strategic, but it does give you more choices to make. So maybe that's what they meant. The fact that you can choose either the difficulty or the category, that changes the whole feeling, for me at least, of a trivia game. Because you're not stuck with, maybe I'll know it, maybe I won't. Well, if I go with this category, I have a pretty good feeling about it. Or I haven't had my head stuck in the ground my entire life. So if I choose this lower end difficulty question, then I'll probably be okay. Those are the kind of questions that you can make on the onset of your turn. But my second pro of the game is that all of the questions have multiple choice. So it's not just rote memory. It's not just I know this or I don't know this. I can try to deduce what the correct answer might be, or at the very least, I can deduce what a couple of the answers could be that correct answer. So there is more than just knowledge that's going into it. There's also reason, there's also logic, there's deductive logic going on here, and that's one of the things that I liked about it as well. It's not just I know these facts. I can kind of figure out what facts are possibly true and which ones are definitely not true, because that's just way out. So I do like the fact that those two things come together. The idea that you can choose your difficulty or your category, and on top of that, all of the questions are multiple choice questions. A third pro of the game that I really did enjoy was that all of the questions were very, if I can use the word relevant, or maybe modern or contemporary, maybe, all of the questions didn't seem to be outdated. Now, of course, you do have the historian category, and of course those are going to be about history, but they're all questions that are things that people, I guess, should know, if I can say that. And if they don't know it, this is the opportunity for them to learn about it, which is another reason why I like trivia games. Generally speaking, I usually don't like how trivia games play out, but I like the idea behind them, because trivia does have an educational factor to it. So I do enjoy it to that extent, but the categories here were, the movie buff one. You're not talking about movies that were made 20 years ago. You're talking about movies that were made as early as just a couple of years ago. So I really enjoy that. The gourmet, the food, all of this, they were all relevant categories, and they seemed extremely contemporary, which I thought was a really cool thing. Now, a couple of the things that I didn't like so much about the game were, and they're small things, so they're not that huge of a deal, but the push your luck mechanism I wasn't too big of a fan on. I would probably just say you have the opportunity to answer 3 questions. You can start and stop whenever you want. If you miss a question, you don't get those points. But that's probably what I would do. I think it might speed the game up a little bit as well, because you're probably less likely to not take 3 questions per turn, which means that more hexes are going to be taken throughout the course of your turn, and that will speed the game up, and you'll still have a very similar, enjoyable experience. The other thing, and this is even smaller than the push your luck thing that I just mentioned, is the fact that, and it's kind of strange, it's a little awkward, because it does kind of tie into one of my pros. I really do like the fact that all of the questions are multiple choice. But the one caveat to that is that there is the possibility that people could just flip a coin or just take a random guess, and they'll get the right answer. And they could do that multiple times throughout the course of the game. And that will bring back off of the feeling of I've accomplished something that trivia games usually bring with it. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't that big of a deal anyway, because this is very much a party type activity type of a game more than it is a competitive atmosphere. So again, it's a pro, definitely. I love the fact that it's a trivia game that has multiple choice in it. I like that. But just realize that does carry with it that the lucky person can just run away with it, and sometimes they might. But it's not that big of a deal. So my final rating for HexaQuest is going to be, as a trivia game, let me provide that moniker first of all. As a trivia game, this is 2 thumbs up. All right, 2 thumbs up as a trivia game. As a game that, am I going to pick HexaQuest if I'm choosing what I want to play for a game night? No. So in that respect, I'll give it 1 thumb up because I'm not that big of a trivia person. I'm not going to choose usually a trivia game for the game that I want to play on game night. But if somebody else wants to play this, I'm all in because I do enjoy it as a trivia game. If somebody wants to play a trivia game, I'm all in if it's HexaQuest because I do enjoy how this game handles trivia compared to other trivia games and how they handle trivia and the competitive nature that comes there. So, as a trivia game, 2 thumbs up. As a game in general, a board game in general, 1 thumb up. But still, this is a positive trivia experience, and I encourage anybody to go check it out. There's 8 expansions altogether, and they also have a box that will hold all of those different expansions. This core box has 6 different categories for it. All 8 of those expansions are more categories that you can add to your game. So there's a possibility of 14 categories for HexaQuest if you want to go all in on it. So I think that HexaQuest is a refreshing take on the traditional trivia game category. I think it's got some legs with all of the different expansions that are available. I think this box in and of itself has legs because there's 6 different categories and all of these decks are pretty thick as well. So I think it's a great thing that you should try out. I want to thank you for joining me here, though. I certainly hope you've enjoyed and appreciated the review. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.